Let me start with asking you in your own words to describe diabetes.
In my own words, diabetes is an autoimmune disease that that I think is inherited partially. It can be brought on by poor health conditions, not managing your weight, not eating right, not exercising enough. But I think overall that it is a genetic disease that affects generations.
And just tell me a little bit about what your experience with diabetes is.
Well, I have diabetes, and I manage mine through what I eat. I try not to eat very many sweets. I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes with my second child, and that was 13 years ago. And doctor told me just to watch what you eat, you know, don't drink a lot of pop and don't eat a lot of concentrated sweets, and that seemed to help. And while I was pregnant, I lost weight, but they thought I was sick, but I wasn't. I was actually feeling better than I felt in a long time. And then since then, it just seems to be back into old habits of, you know, eating things I shouldn't and that kind of thing. But it's very hard to turn things down when you have this craving in your brain saying eat more sugar, and then your body don't need it, but your brain thinks it does.
And so how long have you had diabetes?
Well, I was diagnosed in 1989 with the gestational diabetes, and slowly it's crept up, you know, since then, and it's not out of control to where I have to be on medications. I have tried the metformin, and it just has too many side effects for me, and so I think I'm doing okay without the metformin right now, just watching concentrated sweets.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you make a conscious effort to exercise or be active in addition to the diet?
Well, with my job, it's a sedentary job, desk job. So, and then it's hard to find time in the afternoons to get enough exercise. So I don't exercise like I should.
That's sort of a confessional, right?
Right.
What do you think causes diabetes? Or what are some of the risk factors?
Well, I know that, well, being a nurse, I know what causes diabetes. Some of the risk factors can be poor diet, not enough exercise, you know, and then you have the tendency to be a diabetic if you have a family history of it.
What about when you look at the broader community? What risk factors do you see there for diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes?
Risk factors in our community is really a lot of misconceptions about diabetes, that people think that once they get it, they're doomed. And I think that in itself might be some kind of risk factor, because people don't try to prevent it. They think that they're going to get it regardless of what they do. So they don't try to prevent it. And so once they get it, you know, it's like a death sentence to them. They can't control it, and they feel helpless and frustrated and feel like everybody's out to get them and trying to make them watch their diet, make them lose weight and that kind of thing. When they think that, you know, it's probably not their own fault that they got this way.
Mm-hmm. So you have some ideas about things we could do to help people think differently?
Yeah, if we could convince people that, you know, diabetes can be prevented or controlled, you know, with the type 1, you know, there's no prevention there. But with type 2 diabetes, it can be controlled if you get it, and maybe even prevented if you start early enough with teaching and changing lifestyles, getting more healthier food and more activity into the diet, and then changing their lifestyle.
And when should we start that?
Young, very young.
How do we do it?
Well, we do it by teaching the parents how to teach the children. You start with the parents, and then you teach them how to cook, and you teach them how to be more active, and what causes things to happen and how it can be prevented. And then they teach their children, and then you have to start with the generation before to get a change in the next generation.
And people are so busy. you know, and it seems so difficult to get people to come to a class. They don't see that it's important.
Mhm.
So how do we teach the parents so that they can begin changing the patterns for their children?
Well, you have to make it interactive and fun, I think. Interesting, worth their while. Because, you know, that is taking up their time that they have at home with their families or taking time from their work. So you have to make it worth their while. You have to make it interactive, enjoyable, and something that they can take from it that they can use. Something that's going to benefit them.
So this is the hard part, you know.
Okay.
You know, how do we make it fun? How do we make it meaningful to people? You know, what's going to make them want to participate? What kinds of things do we need to be doing?
Well, I'm not real sure. I know with the kids, they're into inflatables and things like that. Group fun, you know, like parties and things like that. Make it like a party atmosphere or something that they will feel entertained as well as educated.
But sometimes those inflatable things you're talking about are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you can rent them for a day,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't last. You know, it's
Right.
such a temporary. What can we do that would be more continuous?
Long-term
Mhm.
enjoyment.
You know, really changing behaviors.
Well, maybe incorporating some school activities into the children, for the children, to get them interacting and involved in more activities and teaching them, you know, in school,
Mm-hmm.
having classes on nutrition and exercise.
And I want to play the evil school board member, you know.
Okay.
Kids' school day's too full already. We're preparing them so they can pass these tests, and you know, we don't have extra time in the day to put more things into what we teach.
But things can be taught with activities, like, you know, you can still teach math and have them be active. Engage the curriculum into being physically active. Do more physical activity while teaching them other things.
Mm-hmm.
Like science, going on a field trip, walking to the park to catch the butterflies to study and things like that, instead of find them on the internet and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Going out and actually physically hunting for the
Mhm.
things.
And there is certainly the environment here that one could do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you think family plays an important role in giving you support with your diabetes?
Me personally?
Yeah, you personally.
No. My husband has diabetes also, but he's not really good about following his diet. So, you know, it's like he's set in his ways and he wants his type of food, and so therefore I have to cook what he likes. So I wind up eating it too. You know, it's hard to cook for one when you have a family to cook for, because I have 3 children and
All
a
home?
husband, all home. And you have to cook for the whole family what they like, you know, and it's very hard to just cook for one person.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to, when you start fixing healthier foods, you want to get a lot of non-compliance there.
How long does your husband have diabetes?
For about 5 years.
And is he trying to take care of himself?
No, he's in total denial.
Okay, you maybe have to edit that out.
Yeah, he's in total denial about that.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, because as nurses, you know, we would sometimes think, oh, well, you know, if both people have diabetes, they're going to take better care of themselves and each other because they both have the same problem.
Not necessarily. It don't always work that way. It'd be great and wonderful if it did. But a lot of times you'll have 2 in the family that'll have diabetes. One will be compliant and one won't. So you're working against each other, it seems like.
And then what do the children do?
They just eat whatever you feed them. Mine do. You know, they don't have a bad habit of eating. They really eat whatever's very healthy for them. They like healthy food and they eat whatever you fix for them.
So you try to still create healthier meals for them and for yourself, and your husband does something different.
Right.
Okay. We won't pursue that anymore.
Okay.
Do you think that there's things that people in the community can do to support someone that has diabetes?
Well, the restaurants in town could offer healthier, diabetic-friendly meals. You know, we're limited in our restaurants that we have in town. But the ones that do their own cooking, you know, they can alter the menus to be more diabetic-friendly, I think, and that would help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do people eat a lot of fast food here or eat out a lot, do you think?
They do. Yeah, we have a McDonald's, and they're probably the most prosperous of any of the restaurants in town.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot of people eat there because of convenience, because their children are involved in after-school activities, and it's easy to go through the drive-thru and pick up a sandwich, a Big Mac, and a large Coke, and go on down the road and eat while you drive. So, you know, busier lifestyles has a tendency to have people to eat unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have kind of a lifestyle right now that says we sit more than we move, you know, and here in this rural place that seems to be true as well. What do you think we can do to get people moving?
Well, it has to start, I think, with community leadership, getting those people on board and having them to enhance the atmosphere that people need to get moving. You know, encourage walks, make it better and safer walking places for people, and you know, just encouraging more physical activity, and I don't know, maybe getting churches involved and civic groups involved, and then getting the children involved, and that will help get the parents involved.
Mm-hmm. What do you think churches or other civic groups might do differently than what they're doing now? Any ideas of things to be done?
Well, with the activity, they could have walking days, walking clubs, little competition races and things like that, picnics where the people can get up and go outside and, you know, get more activity. And also fix healthier meals with their meetings and potlucks and those kinds of things. Just encourage more healthy eating.
You, working in a hospital, you see a lot of people with diabetes. What kind of things do you hear from people about the disease, about the lifestyle?
Well, I hear a lot of, well, I've got sugar, I guess I'm going to be put on I'm going to lose a leg someday or something like that. And or I've got sugar and I'll probably have to be on insulin someday. Or that it's like a feeling of helplessness and frustration, and that there's no help for them. You know, very few people do I hear say, I have diabetes, but I'm going to beat it. It's more like once you get diagnosed, it's an end to it. There's no way out. There's no help for them.
Do you feel that way?
No.
Personally?
No, I do not.
So, do you think you're going to beat it?
I'm going to try my best.
And how do you do that?
Well, I know I need to lose about 50 pounds, and I need to start eating right and exercising. So, I have a plan.
But 50 pounds is a lot.
Yeah.
To think about. So maybe sometimes we think about it in too big of increments.
Smaller steps. Yeah. That's how it has to be done, is in small steps.
Are you familiar with any of the work sites in the county and what they're doing with worksite wellness?
We have several. Like the electric company has an employee wellness program, and the telephone company has a wellness program, and they offer incentives for their employees to join the fitness club and exercise, and they offer. They don't offer cash incentives, which I've heard that would probably work, but who can afford that these days? You know, it's. But they do encourage them to be healthier, and the hospital is very good to work with these companies in town to check their employees' health status, cholesterol levels, and those kinds of things. And they do, they invite people to come in and do classes to their employees on wellness.
Now, do you have a worksite wellness plan?
Yes, we do.
At the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, so what's some of the things you're doing right now?
Well, we had a walking club at the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and I was over the walking club, and we had a competition to where we walked around Morgan County, and we would measure their miles and offer incentives for those people that walked an average of 2 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
And we had actually some very good competition going on.
How many people participated?
Starting out, there was probably about 50 people, 50 of our employees, and it went for 2 full years. And over the time period, people dropped out, you know, and quit walking, and it just got to be too much trouble for them, I think, to report their miles and things. Some of them, I think, are still walking, and they just don't participate in the club.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some benefits have come from that,
Mm-hmm.
that they're walking on their own now.
Mm-hmm. Might be something to re-energize.
Yeah,
Think about
yeah.
the new invented walk.
Change the name.
Change the name. Do you belong to any other groups here in the county? Women's groups, civic groups, church groups?
A church group.
The church group.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of people I've talked to really discuss the idea that maybe some changes could come through church.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any thoughts about that?
I know that the pastor has a lot of influence on people, and our pastor has recently started walking again, and he's been even actually talking about it during Sunday service, that how much healthier he feels, and after he started walking again, after
Mm-hmm.
having a sedentary winter, because you know the winter was so bad that he felt bad, and now he's starting to feel better because he's starting to walk and get out and move around. So I think that when it starts there and people see and hear it from a reliable source, that
Mm-hmm.
it's going to make an influence on other people.
Is there a ministerial association here in Morgan?
There is.
There is.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be possible to work with a group of ministers who could create similar programs or some competitions.
Right.
Or, so that might be a group to do some education with.
Right, because the body is the temple,
Uh-huh.
and you know you have to keep your temple
Mm-hmm.
in good shape. So
Yeah, and very often, you know, the focus is on spiritual health and not
Yeah.
necessarily this idea that physical and emotional and all that health comes together with the spirit.
right,
You know, but
it all
Yeah.
works together.
mm-hmm. One last thing I'll just ask you about is that there's sometimes places in communities that are already available and could be places, particularly if you're looking at a rural county where everything's spread out. So, for instance, a school might be in some rural areas, and the churches, and sometimes there's parking lots that are either paved or stoned, you know, so that they're clear, and it could be available for, at least for walking or that kind of activity. Do you think people in this community or this county would be open to using some of those things differently to sort of increase activity and help people?
I think that they would. We have several walking parks in West Liberty, and I know the schools in the areas, because we have elementary schools in different parts of the county.
Mm-hmm.
We are a large county, and we have 4 school districts.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the schools have parking lots. They have large parking lots that people could walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And the high school has a track, and they've opened that up to the public to
Mhm.
walk. And we have the Old Mill Park that has a walking trail around the park.
Mm-hmm.
And several of the businesses in the community actually will let their employees walk during lunch break and,
Mm-hmm.
and a couple breaks during the day, and they just walk around the blocks in West Liberty.
Mhm.
So, you know, there are opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any affiliation with the prison
No.
and, you know, the employees that are there? Or?
I have some family members that work there.
Oh, do you? Okay. Of course you do. Well, everybody's connected, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's connected in one way or the
Yeah,
other.
small town, everybody knows everybody.
That's right. So, do you know if they have a worksite wellness plan there?
I don't think that they do. I'm not aware of it if they
Okay.
do.
That may be something to check out and consider. Just as we conclude, I'd like you just to talk a little bit about the Diabetes Coalition here and what's going on with it and what your hopes are for now and the future.
Okay. Well, we've had the Diabetes Coalition in Morgan County since 2000, and we worked hard to try to help people understand how to control their diabetes and how to fix healthier meals and keep their cholesterol down and keep their blood sugar down and those kinds of things. I would like to see it sort of change to where we would be talking more to the younger generation about diabetes and helping them to understand what it is and how it affects their life, how to prevent it, how to manage it when they get it or if they get it. And I think that the coalition could help a lot of people as far as changing lifestyles.
What do you need to strengthen the coalition?
Participation.
Of who?
Members. We need members to help us to get out there and reach the public and reach the community and give us their, talent that they have. Maybe they're a teacher or instructor or mentor or something. We could use anyone that could help.
Anyone and everyone.
Anyone and everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you reach out and pull them in?
Well, it's very difficult because everybody's busy these days, and it's like, well, one more club. Because we're a small community, everybody's doing everything. We just have to work it into as part of another club to join, like a civic club. I think would help.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have that kind of like the women's club, and then you have the diabetes club.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe more people would join if they don't associate a stigma with the diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
like obesity or inactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Along with that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm joining the diabetic club. Does that mean you're diabetic? No, you don't have to be a diabetic
Mm-hmm.
to join the diabetes club.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could call it something else.
I was going to say maybe the name needs to change. Maybe
Right.
Maybe it calls the Fun and Health Group.
Right. Maybe we don't need to call it diabetes club. Something else.
Yeah, because especially if you're thinking on prevention,
Right.
and if diabetes has such a negative feeling or idea
Right.
behind it,
Yeah.
it might be better to call it something else.
Young and
Yeah.
Healthy Club.
Yeah. I don't know if you want young, or a few young.
A few young.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I think I've asked you everything I need to. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude?
No, I just want to thank all the people that have helped so far with the Diabetes Coalition and all the funding that we've got through Marshall University and through Apafeel and Ohio State University.
Ohio University.
Ohio University. There's a difference?
Yeah.
Okay. Ohio University. So, we couldn't have done it without their help and funding. So
Mhm.
it was greatly appreciated.